Let's talk about how drugs are directly related to mind control. Now, all we need to do is start understanding A, the ruling group, and B, their use of drugs on the population throughout history. And then we'll go to some MK Ultra information and even researchers by the name of Fritz Springmeier and David Hodges. He's a psychology professor in the United States, and how narcotics interfere and weaken brain function. And a weak brain function is sort of subconsciously admitted to by the nervous system, to the point where when you're on narcotics, or when you're polluted at all, or when you're toxic at all, or when your body realizes your IQ or your brain is partially or completely offline in its full capacity, the nervous system flicks a switch and makes you hyper compliant to command, because it doesn't believe you're smart enough with your inhibited brain function to get out of the jam, or sort of to assess the lay of the land correctly. So narcotics were investigated in, to infinity and beyond in MK Ultra research regarding, the narcotics' ability to inhibit proper brain function and switch on the hyper-compliant protective mechanisms inside the nervous system. The thing about the nervous system of humans is that it's very simply designed to survive. So basically, it sort of has two modes of operation, your nervous system. It will be like sort of the stronger part, where it's almost like ego-based, where it says, I'm strong enough to handle everything, and I'm smart enough to handle the challenges that come my way. And in the end, it's the subconscious that decides, if that's true or not. And a lot of times it is true, where the subconscious will say, yeah, you know what, you are smart enough to take care of this situation, or you're strong enough, you're smart enough to handle this challenge that's right in front of you today. But it's the subconscious that is kind of the no BS part of the neurology. And if you're high or drunk or poisoned or toxic or broke, these are all forms of weakness. This is the thing. It's a full spectrum weakness agenda. We're just talking about drugs today. And your subconscious knows if you're able to handle what's going to be thrown your way, and it will make an honest assessment of that. So if you're high or drunk, or like I said, in a wheelchair, 100 pounds overweight, can't defend yourself, you become more compliant. So basically, the equation for mind control is simple. It's not going to be like you looking like a zombie with drooling and walking with your hands out straight or peg-legged and looking for brains. Mind control is simply, you're too weak to resist my command or my infiltration or my suggestion. Just like if a police officer comes up to you and taps on your window after they pulled you over, you're really hyper compliant. It's because you're sitting down, they're standing, they have perceived authority, you have scripts that have been given to you by the government school system and media that you're supposed to be hyper compliant. So basically there's a formula for making you comply, which is basically taking over your mind, which is mind control. So you don't have to be in hypnosis. You just have to be weaker than the person that who's telling you what to do. And that's what narcotics and alcohol and all these other poisons and the arm darts and et cetera, but we're just talking about narcotics today. And so this is how it works. So the group that rules us, who are mind control experts, they're very interested in what makes someone give their yes when they should be giving their no, like in regards to taxation, which is mind control based theft. The ruling group is very interested in what it takes to take, before 1911 in Canada and the US, there was no income tax whatsoever, and they're very interested. The ruling group is very interested in what it takes to steal 5% of your money, 10% of your money, 15% of your money, 20, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45. What are we up to now? 60, 65. No one's really giving their no. It's because mind control is definitely in play. And narcotics have been, front and center in a lot of mind control research to really inhibit the person's strength on a subconscious or neurological level, to the point where they don't even care what you do to them. You could put them in a cardboard box and steal all their money, and then you can tell them they're free, and that doing drugs means they're free, and drugs are freedom, and drugs are peace and love, like they did in the 60s. And there's lots of books that, the CIA is the one that set up Woodstock and brought the drugs in and actually cooked their own LSD to a particular formula to maximize mind control impacts in the short term and the long term for the people who attended Woodstock. So the ruling group is very clever in their use of narcotics. Like even in the late 1700s, the ruling group themselves, that are still in control of most nations today, the British Commonwealth is just the UK royal family. So if you want to find out who's sort of in charge, find out who started the United States, who started Canada, who started the UK, who started Australia, who started Israel, who took over China, and who took over Russia with the assassination of Tsar Romanov. We'll go back to China, and basically in China, that was an independent country at one time, full of Chinese people. But it's a big landmass. So who comes trotting out? The mind control experts from the United Kingdom, which have been mind control experts on this planet for thousands of years. And they do what they always do. They're like, we know how to take over China. And someone would say, well, the British Army in the late 1700s is pretty small compared to the Chinese Defense Force. And they laugh. The mind control experts that back the UK royal family, they laugh. We don't need a military. We don't need a military at all. So what the UK royals did was start producing opium. And then they would bundle it up in these big squares with the opium pipes, and just simply get near the Chinese border towns and not even dock, just get close at night and throw the opium with the pipes out onto the dock. And what do you think happened there? The whole Chinese empire fell. The UK royals didn't have to do anything. They just walked right on in when everybody's screwed up and high, and took over China, put Chinese people in charge, said, oh, no, it's not us. It's this one of their oldest trick of the book. It's not us. Yeah, it's you. And they control China to this very day. I mean, and then they said, oh, well, we just owned Hong Kong. We didn't own China. We're going to give Hong Kong back to the Chinese. Okay, yeah. Not sure people are understanding how much trouble they're in with this ruling group. And again, who do you think invented Israel? Go back and look at that. Balfour Declaration. Who's Lord Balfour? Where is he from? What family connections does he have? UK royals. Who's controlling the United States today? Who started the United States? Yeah, all goes back to one family who never get in the news, by the way. You see so many memes about this, the top of the ladder over in the Israel and the top of the ladder in the U.S. and all those actors, who do you think they're trying to protect in the long run? Who do you think they will never want you to know who's really pulling the strings here? So again, and this group knows how to take down nations. Doesn't matter how strong it is. Look at the United States. Look at the drug problem in the U.S. And if you go to the documentary, The Clinton Chronicles, and you can find that. You can probably find it even on YouTube, because this group is so confident that they don't even care what gets out at this point. They know people are too discombobulated to put up any resistance. So if you go to the Clinton Chronicles, there's people who worked in Bill Clinton's law firm in Little Rock, Arkansas, testifying that Bill Clinton ran a cocaine cartel out of his law office in Little Rock, Arkansas. And someone's like, oh, that Bill Clinton, that son of a bitch, he's a dirty guy. No, it's not Bill Clinton. He is an employee, and he's bringing the cocaine. He's not smuggling cocaine out of the U.S. He's smuggling cocaine into the United States to take down the United States, just like the same group took over China in the Opium Wars in the late 1700s. Canada, the marijuana is coast to coast. In Vancouver, BC, and this group is about theft, and if you're going to steal people's stuff, you want to attack the richest parts of that society first. So in British Columbia, we have the richest part of Canada. So of course, in British Columbia, Canada, all drugs are legal. All drugs. Heroin is legal. Cocaine is legal. Fentanyl is legal as long as you have 2.5 grams or less. Who do you think invented that rule? And go see what the state of Vancouver is, and their resistance to tyranny, their ability to say no. They can't say no. They say yes to every foot that gets shoved up the asses of the citizens of British Columbia. They're like, yeah, can you get a couple more things in my ass? Love it. We love it. So they don't even know how to use their no anymore. All they do is say, yep, keep destroying me. That's how powerful the history of drug use is, and the drug legalization. And in the UK, we have a new party. I don't know which party it is. Maybe it's the Green Party. Forgive me if I'm wrong. They're standing on the platform in the United Kingdom right now, and they said, we also want to legalize all drugs. And they're like, they don't. They're being told what to do by their owners, so that the society is put under the deepest forms of mind control. Now they have the psilocybin coming out. All you need to do is look up detriments of psilocybin, even microdosing magic mushrooms, and you're going to see it affects a very particular part of the brain known to sort of individuate, which means identify that you are different than the group. Psilocybin destroys that part of the brain. So how it works is it'll make your neurology more collective, which means you're going to move as a group instead of an individual. I couldn't make this shit up if I tried. I'm going to write an article on that finding really soon, and if you want to get more information like this, because I have to go right now, I got an appointment. But folks, the drugs are, you can email me at info@jchristoff.com, and you can get on my email list. But look, the drugs are becoming legalized everywhere because it's a ruling group tenet, which means it's a pillar of their ruling group philosophy to completely obliterate God's natural defensive brain functions so that no one can infiltrate your personal, spiritual, physical, or metaphysical space. And the more drugs become prolific in your society, the more your society collapses into chaos, because the original human design of the body and the brain and the spirit are taken completely offline. And that is extremely dangerous, and this is by design. This isn't an accident. This ruling group have been using drugs all the way back to the ancient Egyptian pharaohs. Look up the blue Nile lily, and many other hallucinogens that they would use routinely on their cult members to make them ironclad, loyal followers of this cult, which actually, and if you want to go see the documentary, I think it's called Empire of the City, or the Ring of Power, Empire of the City, you will see, bingo, bango, bongo, the UK royals are really Egyptian. And they got kicked out of so many countries because they kept doing this over and over again on their way out of Egypt. They got kicked out of Egypt, they got kicked out of Greece, they got kicked out of Germany, they got kicked out of Italy, and they kept going till they landed in the UK. So you better do your research, because this group is using these mind control tactics against every single person on the planet right now. This is Jason Christoff signing off. Have a great day.